So when I came here as a student, I remember I had a very strict professor, that was Srini, and he was very mean. And I remember at this one point in this program that's called ELP, Emerging Leaders Program in Mahindra, I went to Srini and I said, do you see an improvement? We've been here for 3 modules, we're evolving, and do you see an improvement? And he looked at me and said, absolutely not. And I hope today's session would change his view about the success of the program. I have to also tell you, I worked upon project in Mahindra. I'm a part of WLP, Women Leaders Program. Nice to see some women here. I'm a part of Emerging Leaders Program. Then they said, ELP 1, let's put her in 2 also. I'm also part of ELP 2. So they're really trying very hard with me, right, to make me a leader. What I'm going to do today is walk you through a little journey that a very little company in Mahindra Group has taken. Many of you may not have heard of this company. I'm sure all of you Googled after you saw my name, but this company has a story behind it, okay? And I thought what I will do today is I will share my story and how this company came about. And then I want to open house because I know that it's always easier if I answer questions and I'm not the only one talking. Okay, so that sounds largely okay. And it's 5:20. How much time do you guys want to give me? It's democracy. 6? Okay, we're good. So we'll aim for 6, yeah? And if it gets damn interesting, I'll be around for as long as you want me to. So SmartShift. I have my sister-in-law here. It's a really small world, right? Someone came down and they told me, you know who's here? And I'm like, who? Because, sometimes you don't know who the person is and it's always one of those wicked surprises. And they said, Usha's here. So Usha is my sister-in-law. We're related by marriage. And she was the person who actually approved my choice to my husband, by the way. So Usha, you have a lot of sins to pay for. So I don't have time to get to know each of you, but I will definitely try and interact. So what is SmartShift? Anyone? Googlers? All those who Google research? Welcome, Akash. Anyone? Somebody nodded their head when I said, did you do Google? What? No one did? Shite, yaar. Okay. So, you've heard of Uber? You've heard of Ola? We are an Ola for trucks. The nationalist in me comes out very strongly in these comparisons. So, we used to say we are the Uber for trucks, but I don't like what Travis Kalanick did. So, now we're the Ola for trucks, and let's see how Bhavesh lives up to that. So, we are a little company that has a twin-sided network. And that's something that you guys will be learning about, I think. So on one side, we have a bunch of SMEs, MSMEs, and on the other side, we have a bunch of transporters. And essentially what SmartShift does is it gets the transporters to meet the SMEs and vice versa, and we do load matching, okay? Anyone here from logistics? Any? Okay, so you understand that it's one of those, it's like a tech logistics company. We're trying to solve a problem that a lot of people have in this room. Even if you're not associated with logistics, you need to transport stuff. And generally, we come in your way, and we're not very efficient. And this company is trying to make things efficient. So, philosophy. When we started SmartShift, and I'll talk a little bit about that, in the Mahindra group, we have something called scenario planning. I don't know if any of you have heard this. This term was actually coined by a company called Shell, okay? And all of you know what Shell does. They're into deep sea oil excavation. And Shell has a product shelf life of 15 years, which basically means if they decide to drill in the long place, that's 15 years worth of investment just sunk in, literally sunk right in. So Shell would do scenario planning. And what scenario planning essentially is it says what are the biggest uncertainties that your business could face, okay? And it plots these uncertainties and says, if scenario A happens, what will you do? If scenario B happens, what will you do? So it's risk management, it's risk mitigation, but it's also futuristic. So it's not looking at something you've already done and said, oh, I may have a risk here. It's looking at the future and saying, what risks could the future have for you? So we did scenario planning at M&M, and we said, you know what? We are an awesome leader in making trucks. We have more than 55% market share in the space of trucks. We make really good, fuel-efficient, extremely sturdy trucks. And all of you will have transport that's going through our trucks. So what's to worry? Is there any reason to worry? You're doing really well. You're market leaders, right? And then it said, there's a world changing out there, right? How many of us knew about Ola and Uber just 5 years back? We all had our own car. The ambition was to get a good car, then to get a better car, and then to get an even better car, right? I'm sure many of you in your households now have just one car, possibly sold off the second car, and you Uber most of the time. So what's changed? What's fundamentally changed? Absolutely. Exactly. So somebody got up one day and said, you know what, there's a huge amount of asset and there are people who want to use the asset. But why does it have to be together? Let the asset get rotated amongst many of us. And that was the principle of sharing economy. So what Uber and Ola essentially have done, if you actually very existentially look at the question, is they've changed how we define mobility. So people want to go from point A to point B. It doesn't matter what you're sitting in. Many of us have even stopped noticing what brand of a car you're sat in. If I was to ask any of you, what was the last Uber brand that you all sat in? Most of you won't remember. It's heartbreaking for me because I used to be in an OEM, so we used to make cars. We still make cars with a lot of passion, but people don't remember anymore. They're just getting from point A to point B. It actually changed definitions of mobility and sharing. And that disruption could very easily come to trucks. Because trucks, by virtue of what they do, are already a part of the sharing economy. Some days they're transporting Naveen's good. Next day they're taking Martin's stuff around. So the disruption would have been faster, stronger, and more impactful on a brand like M&M at that stage. So we actually, because we're creative, we gave it a very interesting name and we said the double-headed monster would come. What are the two heads of the monster? The first is someone like Uber would come in and consolidate the complete supply. They would suck the supply in from the market and own it. And somebody like a Reliance would possibly come and consolidate the retail market, right? And you're seeing e-commerce giants are exactly doing that. They're consolidating the entire retail market. So we said if there's a Flipkart or an Amazon on one side and there's an Uber-like company on the other, what would happen to M&M? All the values around which you build a product suddenly don't seem to matter because Bindu stopped noticing what product she's riding in. She just wants a car to be available. And that's where SmartShift was born. At a very existential level, we were born out of productive paranoia. For those of you who follow Bill Gates, very famous letter he talked about. So we said that could happen to M&M in this space, and therefore we need to be prepared. And there are two ways of preparing. You can go and partner with an Ola or an Uber, or there are many companies like us in the world, and say, cool, you come, we'll partner with you, and let's do it together, it's inorganic. Or you could build your own. You could disrupt yourself before someone else comes and disrupts you, right? And then they had one mad person in their group who was extremely passionate about doing this. And we said, can we get a chance? Okay, and I'll talk a little bit more about what it means to get a chance in a big company, okay? So we presented to Mr. Mahindra and the board this entire concept, and we said, give us a chance to do it, okay? And that's where this entire element came in, that we had a great idea, and we also wanted the chance to execute it the best way possible, because we truly believed that SmartShift would at that time have the best combination. It would have the combination of 65 years of legacy, of learning, of customer insights, of product, and a young and dynamic team that was not afraid. It's very important to remember you cannot be afraid when you're challenging yourself, right? We're all successful. I heard about the pedigree of this room, and I actually felt I don't deserve to be in front of you because you're all so experienced, you're all done such amazing things. And I realized that this pedigree also sometimes comes in, gives us a sense of complacency, right? So we should always be the first person to disrupt ourselves, and we shouldn't have fear, right? The Lenovo man is losing interest in me, Ravi Kumar. You're taking notes? Oh, that's really cool. Please do share with everybody because I'm sure it would be a cool thing. So we said we're going to execute. And this is just a very fun slide, right? How many of you think Pareto weighs in the side of the idea. The idea is more important than the execution. 80% is idea, 20% is execution. No hands? Oh, the class unanimously feels like it's 20% the idea, 80%. Yeah. Neither is true. I always feel it's 50-50. The reason is, in today's day and age, ideas are plentiful, executions sometimes fail, but sometimes ideas are only failing because they're really ahead of their time. So you need to have a good mix in your team of ideas and execution, and you need to have a good balance of people who can think of ideas but also who can execute those ideas, right? So we obviously said we need to have a great idea and it has to be well executed. So I thought I'll quickly walk you through 5 steps that we did when we formed our own enterprise. And I think it's important because I know a lot of us are trying to build enterprises within enterprises. And it's a tough job, right? And sometimes you have to approach it with almost clinical mindfulness, that everything that you do within an enterprise has to answer. I'll share this deck with you, Arun, so don't worry about it. It's actually a very generic deck. And so I'm just going to walk you through these very quickly. The first and the most important thing, whether you're an entrepreneur, intrapreneur, or employee who's actually innovating, you have to have a problem that you're solving. So what is this problem that you're solving? And happily for us, we're in a country which has a lot of problems. Okay, and that's saying a bit, right? Because I have seen many countries are trying to invent problems to solve. Okay, we don't. We have genuine problems, social problems, infrastructure problems, efficiency problems, market problems. We have a lot of opportunity. So just to give you, oh, that's our double-headed monster. Isn't he cool? I mean, doesn't he look dangerous? It's like we wanted to scare everyone in the board. We're like, dude, this guy is coming, right? So we said that there is a lot of opportunity in the commercial vehicle space. Things are moving well. Nitin Gadkari is talking about urbanization, roads. India, by the way, just as a fun fact, is the highest road density in the world. Okay, I'm not talking about pakka roads, kacha roads. We have, for every 100 square kilometers, we have 21 kilometers of road, which is unmatched with anyone else. Of course, it's unfair because Russia has half their land covered under snow, but still. So we have a lot of roads. Okay, you may not like to travel on them, that's a different issue, but we have a lot of roads. We have 6 of the 10 mega cities in the world. Okay, you have cities which have a population of more than 10 million people. Okay, you have 11 cities which are more than 1 million population. So your urbanization trend and migration is actually testimony to the fact that India is actually an urban country. Okay, people are moving to urban centers and consumption is driven. We have awesome infrastructure. We have equal infrastructure challenges. By the way, road is a very favored form of transport for everybody. India's entire 67% of all load in India moves through road. Okay, that's unmatched by any country in the world. Okay, and we have the hub and spoke. Everybody is talking about GST. GST is going to have a lot of implications in my sector. Logistics is one of the most impacted sectors. So we said there's a lot of opportunity to do well in the commercial vehicle space. And then there was the two-headed monster, the Uber and the Flipkart, who together are a formidable force for any OEM, right? Because when Ola comes to you as an OEM and says, we want to buy cars, what is the margin that you have? They buy in bulk. They are huge buyers, okay? And they bargain really well. And they own half the market. So what are you going to bargain with them on? I have better distribution than whom? I have a better brand than whom? Because the customer, Naveen, doesn't really care what he's sitting in. So we said, here's the world that we operate in. That's my SME. He's a really cool guy, by the way. He's in Bombay, he's a Kirana guy. So we have, as per record, 50 million SMEs in India registered with CII. There would be 100 million SMEs who are not registered. Okay? And India has a very weird way of defining SMEs. Okay? Would you believe, okay, and some of my logistics friends will agree here, 30-35% of a time of an entrepreneur is spent on logistics. So Professor Srini and I were just talking downstairs. There is a very large mill which makes yarn, okay, in Saurashtra. They own 30 trucks and they have 300 people managing those 30 trucks. For an SME, 90% of the time you walk into a shop, okay, you got into a timber shop, plywood shop, tile shop. What is your biggest problem? साहब गाड़ी नहीं आता है, गाड़ी का बड़ा problem है. So 30% of their time, any SME is actually spending on logistics. What an NVA, right? But in India, we accept all of this. If you ask an SME, दिक्कत नहीं होती, he'll say, and I'm sorry, I lapse into Hindi, so those of you who have a problem, please let me know. Aren't you like irritated that you have to spend 30% of your so-called quality time on this? He'll say, नहीं, but हमेशा ही ऐसा ही चलता था. हमेशा ही ट्रांसपोर्ट पे मुझे फ़ोन करके पूछना है, भाई आप पहुँचे क्या? And he will say anything. Anybody from Delhi? Manish is from Delhi. He will say, मैं पहुँच गया सर, बस पहुँच गया. वो होगा कलकत्ता में, वो बोल रहा है कि पहुँच गया दिल्ली. ठीक है? So what do? You have to trust, blind trust. So relationships started developing. People started making a network. Look at the huge investment of time. What a waste of time. And we are in an era where somebody cannot be wasting time on a non-core activity. Okay? And then you have the poor guy on the other side. So it's not like life is very different for a transporter. Okay? For those of you who have not gone to a transport nagar, I do hope after this session you all start noticing trucks more than BMWs. The reason is, these are the backbone on which India runs. Okay? You meet a trucker, the first thing he will tell you is life is very tough. My children should never come into this profession. I'm only working so that they can never come into this profession. And how is his life? For the big truckers, they spend 27 days a month on the road. 60% of them are HIV positive. Many of them have tuberculosis. They are dehydrated, malnourished, and nobody cares about them. They're called the 37th citizen class in India. By the way, we have 36. They're the 37th religion. Okay? No one cares about them. Wherever they are standing, if Bhagwan meherban ho, to load milta hai. Nahi ho, to ghar khali pet jana padta hai. And they live by the day. So we had done this research with customers and we asked them, what is the one thing you would do if you had money? And we expected them to say things like, hum badi gaadi lenge, bada ghar lenge. And resoundingly, they said, we will buy Amul butter for our children. Can you imagine? That is this class of people. They can't even dream or aspire beyond Amul butter. That is like an aspiration. So we thought that here you have a set of SMEs who are plagued by inefficiency, and there you have a transporter who's actually one of the most, I would say, ostracized section of society. You know, people avoid transport nagars. They won't want to go where truckers eat. How many of us would stop at a dhaba if we saw 10 trucks lined up there? We wouldn't, right? We have this selection of dhabas where no truckers stop. It is that 37th community. A colleague of mine, Deepak Garg, who runs Revigo, he talks about this. And it's a very pitiful life. And no one till now has stepped in to solve this problem. Because no one cares. Beyond a point, it's background, it's happening, right? So we said we are going to step in. Because there is a lot more to Mahindra than selling a vehicle. Yes, Swayambhu. Yep. Largely, no. We all believe that there are big truck guys who are hoarding all this cash of ours. India's 90% fleet is owner cum driver. They are aggregated by these big brokers. We also think, by the way, brokers make a lot of money. And therefore, we are always vehemently against these intermediaries. Let me tell you, this was the canvas, right? You talked about different types of trucks, where we play. By the way, we play in the small trucks. The picture isn't rosy. A broker today is not just somebody who's making demand and supply meet. He is also the money lender for the truckers. He is the person who makes their daughters' weddings happen. He is the person who comes to the hospital when they have an accident. He is the person who bails them out of jail when they get wrongly accused of deliberately tampering with the goods. So we think a lot of these intermediaries as bad guys, hoarding cash. I'm not saying they're all good, okay? We are solving that problem, but it's again a unilateral view. We've seen the better side as well. They are a huge ecosystem by themselves. Working capital moves across the country through them. You know, truckers get paid 60 days after they deliver, right? We all have these billing cycles. Finance guys feel very proud. They manage working capital like this. Yeah, these guys suffer. When they need money for fuel, it's the broker who steps in. So it's not, um, you know, yes, but the element is bill discounting again covers the company's working capital requirement if they are paying in advance, which are small companies. The big companies, any company we know, Honeywell, any of these who pay in advance, we all pay in, we all like negative working capital cycles, right? 90% plus is they call DCOs, drivers come owners. They're owned by a single individual who attaches himself to an Anil or an Arun and kind of gets business, right? So we solved the problem. We said there's a lot of problem. There's time, there's convenience. Any of you have shifted house and used a local Naka guy to shift your house? How irritating was it? How did you find him? Okay, so one of us, na? My biradri, huh? Huh. And what was that interaction like, Anand? I'm sorry, can I just spend a little time with you? What was that interaction like?
Essentially, what is the load, which floor do we need to get the goods from, how many people do you need? And 3 people needed to shift that. And based on that, there was a negotiation. I remember it was about.
You can hear him, right, Usha? Yeah, I will give him the mic.
It was about 1,500 or something. 2,000 was all that I paid for that. This is about 7 years ago.
And how far did you move?
Around 12 kilometers.
How much time did he invest in your house moving in?
Almost 3/4 of the day.
How many people were involved in that equation? I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I think you got a good deal. But how many people were involved?
4 people, including the driver.
So that's the cost, right? 1,200 bucks, 4 people, and a truck, and fuel, and loading up and down. Huge effort, carrying, right? So it's a sector that really has problems, really problems. And that's where the heart comes in. You can build a company with a lot of math. A lot of Excel sheets can make a lot of sense. But you need to build I believe, okay? All the views here are mine and mine only. I'm not like endorsing Mahindra's view. But I believe that you build a company with heart. Because you need to care about that problem. You need to actually want to solve the problem. You need to live the problem. Otherwise, empathy is something, the line between empathy and sympathy is very thin. I got a good deal. It's a good deal, right? Everybody thinks of logistics as a huge cost. Every financial guy will tell you a penny saved on logistics is a penny earned on the bottom line. I save 100 bucks, I earn 100 bucks. It directly impacts your bottom line. So it's not a sector that has been largely loved, embraced. You know, we are like those privileged 1%. Flipkart loves us. Amazon loves us. Lenovo is making products for us. Who is doing anything for this sector? It's actually in a way a borderline social enterprise. Okay, because that sector has been largely ignored. So we put this cool grid together because it actually says what problems are you actually trying to solve. How big is the market for your idea? He mentioned how big is the market. It's a huge market. We sell 75,000 big trucks in a year and 8 times that small trucks in a year. That's how, and each truck has a lifetime of 14 years. Okay, that's how big the market is. And we did a sizing. We said India is at a tipping point. You know, the Flipkarts of the world are coming. The e-commerce is taking up. Consumerism is taking up. Consumption is taking up. Purchasing power parity is going up. So there's going to be a huge. By the way, commercial vehicle is a shadow of GDP. GDP बढ़ता है, commercial vehicle does well. If you notice, every year when GDP goes down, commercial vehicle is the first industry to be almost immediately impacted. So we said there's a huge market. There's a market of basically these driver cum owners standing at various nagars, addas, and we want to cater to them. What's the offering? business has happened for the last 100 years without SmartShift. So people moved. Martin went from point A to point B without Uber, right? We've all been in the pre-Uber area. So what happened? What are you offering? So we did, again, this to me is a deep-rooted, if you want to do something big, you better know who your consumer is. In a twin-sided marketplace, you need to know both customers. And sometimes A's need is contradictory to what B needs. And you have to balance that. We met 2,000 people in a span of 4 months across India. And we just sat across them and said, tell us your problems. What's logistics to you? What was the last good experience you had? What was the last best experience you had? What was the worst experience you had? And we amalgamated these insights and synthesized them. And these were some of the insights. You know, there are people who wait in the Nagar for 3 days and they don't get load. Look at the desperation that will come to play when they don't get load. They will actually go at even $1,000, 500, anything just to get bread back home. Okay? They have no idea how many customers they served. They have no data, no tracking, nothing, and they get fleeced regularly. And on the other side, we also realize that half the time the trucks are going empty. You will notice on highways, right? Many trucks are just going empty. It's a criminal waste of fuel and asset, but they don't know how to optimize it. And therefore, from there came our 3 favorite words, CVP, customer value proposition. It better be pointed, it better be impactful, and it better have a value for the customer for which he's willing to pay you some money because you're not a non-profit organization. So we said for the SME, you focus on your business, let me focus on logistics. I will make sure your trucks reach on time, every time, anytime you want it. And for the load taker, which is our transporter, we said, we will make sure your earning potential is enhanced through opportunity access. So you don't have to load all your eggs in Anil's basket. We'll introduce you to Aniket and Arun and Arvind and Yash, and they will all give you load, and therefore your mitigation of risk is very high, and therefore your productivity is very high. And then, of course, because we love numbers, we had to make the number sheet. We made all of it: product, price, place, promotion, people. The fundamental thing about SmartShift is most of you have not heard of it, correct? And that's not our intent anyway. We don't want, I don't know, all you are big companies, but we don't really cater to Lenovo. We cater to Lenovo CNF agent. We cater to Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages Private Limited's second level distributors. We cater to those SMEs to whom nobody caters, who take vehicles from the market on a daily basis. So your choice of product, your choice of how to promote it, your choice of how your people structure would look depends and only depends on that customer need that you're trying to solve and how pointedly you want to solve it. So for example, we are now present in 10 cities. We do more than 2,000 transactions in a day, and we have about 40 people doing all of this. We have a tech interface that's very seamless. It's very simple to use. By the way, when we started with IVR. We started with phone calls. We are multilingual. We have 6 languages going live. There's Telugu, there's Kannada, there's Marathi, there's Hindi, and now we are trying Gujarati. Okay? We were multilingual even before it was a fancy thing to do, because my transporter cannot read English. So that's how you customize your product. That's how you make yourself accessible. How many of us here own a smartphone? How many of us own 2 smartphones? I don't. I can't even manage one. Okay. Why do you need 2 smartphones, sir?
Actually, one is for social media and emails. One is for calls.
This was before or after Facebook? Oh, okay. No, some people have done that. They've kind of created alias for themselves after Facebook. 75% of my transporters don't own a smartphone. They own that Nokia feature phone. You remember? Keypad. We forgotten, right? How to. 80% of them cannot read and write. The only thing they know is visually they will be able to make out Prasad's name. They would have given some visual code and they'll say, हाँ ये प्रसाद भाई का phone आ रहा है. Their entire business runs on phone. But they cannot read, they cannot write, they cannot type. They can only hear. And for this generation of people, we're saying, here's a cool app, man. Use the app. He's like, eh. And then they didn't use the app, okay? And we made a lot of mistakes as well. And we were scratching our heads and wondering, why are they not using the app? It's so cool. Look at it, it's such a user interface. Dekho, bhai, matlab the best of the UI UX guys have made it. And then we went back to them and they said, madam, बड़े लोग के लिए data होता है. हमारे लिए call ठीक है. So the black box there for us when we were inciting was data chor hai. Anybody from data companies? Sorry if I'm treading on, but I've shared this with Vodafone. They feel that I see one video and mera data khatam. But calls mein, at the end of the call, I know exactly how many minutes I spoke for and how much balance is there. That was an aha moment for SmartShift. Because at that very core, we understood that a transporter is not a part of this data revolution yet. And we made an app that actually has feature phones accepted on it. You can join with a feature phone. Mahindra has left the room. Oh, he's here. Mahindra does call outs. His call center actually works overnight assigning vehicles because the transporter doesn't understand. And maybe, in the break you should share the trials and tribunals we've gone through together, how difficult it was to make an urban customer use data. They don't want to use data. Data चोर है. हमको नहीं समझ में आता ये data consume कैसे होता है. And that was the breakthrough moment. We created a very normal platform. We've now rolled back. We've gone completely to smartphone, but it took time. And because of that initial euphoria, we got a huge base of transporters. So your product cannot be a product that Pawan thinks is really cool. IVR and Mahindra should share. So we started with SMS. Okay, we said SMS kar lega because in our earnestness, we have by the way we're like eBay. We bid. It's like a live auction that happens for a trip, just to complicate our lives much more. Okay, and we said he'll SMS. So he SMS'd. We said load was 2,000 bucks. He would message 2. And then we say, oh, he's accepted the load at 2 rupees. I mean, wow. And then he'll say, नहीं, मेरे को तो 2,500 डालना था, लेकिन वो 2 दब गया, send हो गया. Then we said, no, SMS is not working. Then we made Mahindra build an entire IVR system. We called it Smart Boli also, just to make ourselves feel better. Okay, we said IVR se phone aega. Press 1 to accept, press 2 to reject, press 3 to decide what bid you want to put. He pressed 1 and put down the phone. And we had a very nice, we have my team member, Manali Singh. We are very bootstrapped, okay? By the way, don't think just because I'm from Mahindra, I have a lot of money. I don't, you can see. So the element was, we said, we will get our own team to record. Because, otherwise, Anil and all will ask money, all these beautiful voices you all hear on Amex and all. So we got our own team to record. So they'll always tell us, वो मैडम बात नहीं करती हमसे. हम जब उसको hello बोलते हैं तो वो कुछ बोले जाती है. They didn't understand that a bot was talking to them. That's about collaboration. That's about making a product that your consumers want and not what you wanted. You can make the best app in the world. I know everybody's first reaction to any new idea is, let's build an app. Even for bathrooms, there's an app, by the way. You can book a bathroom through an app. Okay? But is the bathroom clean? Can it flush itself? I'm sure they'll find other ways of doing that also. So these are some of the realities. And therefore, for those of you who are trying to do something different with your lives, and you're trying to convince an Anand Mahindra or a whoever, I'm sorry, I don't know any of the CEOs here. I know Anant. So if you're trying to convince Anant, by the way, Anant has been a great part of our journey at Mahindra. He was a very significant part of some of the projects we were doing when he was in McKinsey. You need to convince him with insight. This was insight, and that's why we built the platform that we did. So product, price, place, promotion all sounds very normal. Marketing 4 Ps. David Keller also kept telling us, Kotler also kept telling, but it's a place and a time for everything. And you need to build that around that. And this was some of the fun stuff. Fundamentally, every business case hinges on one very critical thing. If Jose has got his fundamental assumptions wrong, the whole business case collapses. So one of the most fundamental assumption we all make is revenue aega. I can guarantee to you revenue aega ki nahi aega, cost zarur aega. Cost is a given. Revenue is a hope. Cost is a given, revenue is a hope. And on that revenue, you will have much hope. So please put down your hopes. So we put down all our hopes. We said 8% commission we'll get from load takers. वो अलग बात है कि incentive दे के वो commission कभी वापस आया ही नहीं हमारे पास, right? Then we said that every load taker will do 2 jobs in one day. We are at 1.2 after 2 years. We said every trip he will earn average 600 rupees. Our average is 440 rupees. Imagine how much your business case can move. So put down your core assumptions. If they move, your business pivots. And that's the readiness that you have to have. I have 5 minutes, so this is all fun stuff. We've had an awesome journey. Very proud of my young team. By the way, I'm the second oldest member in my team. And I won't disclose my age. It's there in my profile, so you can just... and my team's age is 27. And one of the reasons that because we are 27, we are a little bit fearless. What I mean by fearless is we've done everything that everyone could do and we have failed repeatedly. But no one cares. They get back in the next morning and they start afresh. One of the things that happens to us as we age, and I'm not saying it's only an age phenomenon, it's experience, everything, we get a ton more cautious. Do you feel that? Little bit more afraid. I'm a sole breadwinner. All those dialogues, EMI kaun bharega. By the way, I have those, okay? Usha knows well, we have a lot of EMIs to fill. We have 2 beautiful boys to educate. Apparently, we have to educate them. I think that's like a duty. And education is expensive. So you have all this background noise that's happening. When you're 26, it doesn't happen. 26 is, what can I do to change the world? मेरे को दुनिया बदलनी है. And that's the team that we built. It's a team that's actually, at some point, slightly psycho. They take the kind of risk that we would not normally take. And as a CEO, the first thing I did was to take this and say, chalo. So Srini asked me to share with you, so I have 4 minutes left, what it means to build an entrepreneurial venture. You know, we divide the world into this black and white. There are the Sachin Bansals of the world. And then there's us, the employees, the model employees, the people who work really hard day in and day out to build the kind of companies that we are part of. And we've never really considered possibly that the two could meet. But let me tell you, increasingly, not just because of SmartShift, I think increasingly the world needs entrepreneurs. You need to be a part of a large establishment from the point of view that it gives you the breadth of experience within the organization. Many of you I know have moved roles, moved companies. But imagine if you were in an organization of 15,000 people, look at the collective intelligence that that firm has to offer you, okay? And assuming that they're willing to offer you, there may be a lot of people like Anil who don't want to give you any gyan. So Anil, I'm just taking your name. I really like your shirt and it's very bright orange, so it's like the name that strikes me. But that's 15,000 people whose brains can be used. And then you have entrepreneurship. And what is entrepreneurship? Any guesses? This is where I get a little interactive because I can sense that people are getting a little tired of a monologue. What is entrepreneurship? Vijay. Did you make it numerically Vijay or you were born Vijay? Okay. We also have a Vijay in our... Okay, giving birth, yeah. What is entrepreneurship? That is intrapreneurship. Yeah. What is entrepreneurship? Who's your favorite entrepreneur? Names. Why don't you have a name? Okay. It's very disturbing to not see a name there. Okay. Do you have a name? Oh, okay. Hari. Okay, that's a good name to remember. Thank God it's not complicated. I'm very bad with names, okay, so please forgive me. I'm just using the excuse that age is catching up. Usha will kill me from there if I say age is catching up with me. Who's your favorite entrepreneur, Abhijit? One. I heard some name here. Huh? Okay, God rest his soul. Steve Jobs, yeah? Steve Jobs? Richard Branson, Virgin, yeah? Come on, Abhijit. Your favorite entrepreneur?
I like something from everybody.
अरे ठीक है, lately आपने किसका पढ़ा है?
So yeah, I used to like this guy called Percy Barnum. He was obviously Branson, great guy, but again in certain areas.
No, that's okay. That's not a debate. I mean, he likes Branson. Let him like Branson. Okay, Jack Ma. Okay, that's really cool. The reason I say Jack Ma is really cool is he did something remarkable in China. Okay. One more. Thank you so much, Anand. I was waiting for that name, right? He's the man in space. Look what he dared to dream. And again, Richard Branson. What do they do? What's that one quality that, and unfortunately we didn't name, but right, Sachin Bansal, right? Flipkart is a great story of entrepreneurship. I would recommend a book. I know there must be a lot of recommendations coming to this batch. There's a book called Golden Tap. Do read it if you have time. It's an exemplary first-hand account of what the world of venture capitalists looks like. Okay, and it talks about Bhavesh Agarwal. Okay, great man, great story, great. You may like him, dislike him. You may have very strong views. Okay, but at the very core, fearlessness. At the very core, a desire to give birth to something new that will change the world. Okay, a fearlessness in a way. And therefore, if you look at wisdom combined with mindful fearlessness, and I'm combining two terms, mindful fearlessness. So it's not like absolute abandoned risk taking just because it's somebody else's money. Okay, mindful risk taking, mindful fearlessness, and you combine these two. That's what an entrepreneur is. Somebody who has, like I have, you can't see them. There are 15,000 Mahindra employees standing behind me. Anytime I want, I reach out to the centers of excellence. I have the best legal team. I have the best company secretaries. By the way, when you make a company, all of these people become very important suddenly in your life, okay? I have the best CAs. I have some of the most prolific leadership advice I could get. I have some of the best HR practices I could want to build. I have that 15,000 base, and I have mindful fearlessness. Because in my case, I wanted to build something that could change the world. And me and a team of people. And to me, for those of you who believe that you can do that within your organization, it is this combination that they're looking for. And it's, how you present it, how you do it. These are different. So for us, we went all out. We did the consumer research before anyone gave us money. We did most of it in our free time. We were working on a different project, and we would spend weekends doing research on this. We never went in with the mindset कि company बनाना है. We went in with the mindset कि दुनिया बदलनी है. And when we came back, we made a company. And we did both. The complete right side, the creative, we have a beautiful vision. We did all of that, and we backed it up with hard code numbers. And that combination actually helped us to start SmartShift with the youngest ever team in M&M. And that's how, possibly for those of us who are at that particular cusp of deciding, that's what kind of tipped the balance. And today, if you ask me, could I do anything different? By the way, I was a model employee. I am still a very good employee. Would always come to office on time, 14 years in the organization. Joined as a young graduate from college. Okay, spent my lifetime with Mahindra. I grew up in Mahindra. They've seen me grow up in front of their eyes. And now the entrepreneurship, which not only has brought the great dignity of standing in front of all of you, and I'm very privileged, by the way. Thank you so much for the opportunity. But it also brought the group great learning, because I know a lot of us come from groups and we think, yaar, idhar kuch nahi ho sakta hai. A lot of bureaucracy, a lot of mindset problems. People at the top don't want to listen. Nobody wants to take the risk. Yes, problems exist. Like entrepreneurs, you have to navigate your way through that. If you truly believe that you can do something, the organization will listen. You just have to figure out the best way to present it to them. And sometimes it's important to be lucky. I was lucky. I don't disallow the fact that luck has a huge factor to play in our lives. But you have to make your own luck as well. So for the world of leadership today, None of us will earn respect by our positions. It's a gone era. You can be senior vice president, president, CEO. That designation exists in credibility and not in the designation. You have to earn where you are as leaders. You have to inspire as leaders. And if you're building that next generation company, if you're building the next generation Nikai group of companies or Hansa, you have to be the change first. And for that, you have to swallow that EMI, a little bit of risk. And the biggest element for high achievers like all of you, it's okay to fail. Um, they say now I'm like a little bit in the startup world. They say if you have to fail, fail spectacularly, कि दुनिया उठ के देखे. मतलब you should be known, right? When the damn spacecraft didn't take off, everyone say, musk hai. But he failed spectacularly, and he will succeed because he can fail spectacularly, and he will tweet about it as if, I failed, dude. He named a company called Bankrupt. I'm not saying you to be arrogant about it, but you have to be mindful that it's okay to fail at any stage in your career. And you have to take that risk, because out of every 10 risks that you take, one will work out. And the probabilities are increasing as more you fail, right? So I'm run out of time. I know I promised an open house. I can see most people are kind of, okay, I think I engaged you. So I'm going to open the house for some questions. And please feel free to ask me anything. We can turn off the recording if it gets personal, but I'm happy to share any insights, anything that I can do to kind of make your Monday morning, evening better. Right? Yes, Yash. So it's a choice of canvas. We work with smaller trucks. They work with big trucks. So it was not like a mindful thing in the sense that we actually deliberately stayed out of big trucks, but we chose this canvas. So we work with the three-wheelers, mini trucks, the small intra-city movement. They work with big trucks, intercity, large haul distances, but principally same concept. Technology will solve information access issues. It was productive. I remember I explained scenario planning. So we said we make trucks, and we make really the best trucks. If you're buying a truck, buy it from us. But we also said that there is a world out there that is using the truck as a mode of transport and not as a truck. So there's a world, by the way, for a trucker, no, the truck is his dukan. He's trying to sell an asset in that sense. Daily, he's trying to sell utilization. So what is more important, the truck or the utilization? When you take a risk, so the first thing they said is, should we make the platform only for Mahindra trucks? That means how much of the market will we have? 50, 55, it keeps varying, 55%. If we make the company for the world, how many percentage of the market can we own? All of it. And if we are building a platform, so by the way, I think Professor Srinivas will have a session on platform, right? Platform's genesis is knowledge. We are greedy for knowledge. We want to know how Akash moves things from point A to point B. Anytime, every time. So if I say only 50% I will know, then I only know 50%. And hence this was carved off as a separate company, by the way. So we are a separate company.
What is your
I'm sorry, this is a strange new term.
single minded proposition for your customer?
So we say for, sorry, sometimes we say CVP. So we say for the SME who is transporting, and आप SME ऐसे सोचो, timber वाला, tiles, those guys who stand in the nakas, addas, you can book them on hire. We will improve your business productivity by giving you convenient, trustworthy solutions for transport, which is 30% of their time. You remember we talked about that. So this is a trick question, right? We always think consumers won, because we've always been used to, I will manufacture and you will buy. I manufacture, you buy. I create a service, you use. I only have created the intermediary. I have customers on both sides. No, so, okay. Some gyan, shall I part some gyan? I like parting gyan, I will part some gyan. There is a producer. These are concepts. By the way, there is this, I don't know, I think professor will kill me, but I'm just telling you, this is a very cool book called Platform Revolution. Please do read it. Marshall Alstein, by the way, he is a coach for me. He's written this book. Sangeet Pal Chaudhary, a very, somebody who I was completely floored with the first time I met him at C Equities, and I'm an avid follower of Sangeet now. They wrote a book called Platform Revolution. Okay, there is a producer, there is a consumer, and there is a customer in a platform. Producers are traditionally people who produce, manufacture either products or services which can be consumed. A consumer is somebody who consumes that product or service, and a customer is somebody who pays for that consumption. In Facebook, who is the producer? Facebook, you have people who are plugging in apps, people who are fitting into Facebook. So they're producers. They produce content which you all consume. Who is the consumer? Prasanna is the consumer, Ranjit is the consumer, Aniket is the consumer, Kausalya is the consumer. Who is the customer? So this myth that the consumer is also the customer is not true in platform companies. You know who pays for my trips? Most of the time, insurance companies. I've tied up with insurance companies saying, I have a platform of 50 million, will reach 50 million SMEs. Do you want access? Mahindra says, yes, I want access. Pay for it. I have oil companies who are on my platform who are creating value because they have 50,000 trucks using diesel every day. They become your customers. I have advertisers. Have you heard of this company called Lending Card? Those in banks will know. They're a brokerage firm. They give loans to SMEs, working capital loans. They're my customer. They actually pay me every time a customer takes a loan from them. So a platform can have a customer who is different from the consumer. And the idea of the network effect, which Dr. Srinivas will talk about, is essentially this. More producers you get, and Myntra is testimony to that. The more fashion designs, vendors you get, the more customers that come. The more customers that come, the more producers that come. The more producers that come, the more consumers that come. That's network effect. It's almost like, have you guys heard of this phenomena called hockey stick? How do normal companies grow? How do startups grow? Why do startups grow like that? Any theories? Why do startups grow like this? Myntra will have. Why do startups grow like this? But what do you do? Why did Airbnb add more rooms in a day that Marriott adds in a year?
Connects the consumer.
What does it do? Unlocks asset. Unlocks. Asset that you never thought was an asset. What did Airbnb do? It said, Shiv Prasad, tera ghar bhi ek hotel ho sakta hai, bhai. So they made Seema stay in Shiv Prasad's house and they created a network effect. The more and more Shiv Prasads who came on the platform and showed their tree houses and awesome houses looking over the Eiffel Tower, Ravi decided to travel more and more. Look at the brilliance of the network effect that started. And who pays for Airbnb? I mean, we all pay, but how does Airbnb really make their revenue? By the way, I don't bite. You all can just say whatever you all think of. Ashwin, how does Airbnb make money? Philips. I have a lot of respect for Philips' HR policies. We should have a conversation on that. Advertisement. They have become the world's largest travel company. Do you not want data? Comments, I don't know whether you want, but I'm sure a lot of companies here want that data that Airbnb has of consumers who travel. My husband's in a travel company. I know how much they look at Airbnb and say, shit man, these guys have all the data. They know where Ravi is going. They know what Ranjit is thinking about. They know how to plan Shiv Prasad's next holiday. Little bit creepy also, I know, with the recent Facebook thing, but yeah. That's tough. So in promotion, first thing that we did was, if I tell Atul, boss, I have a cool app, you now transport 3 lakh worth of goods in my truck. Atul is like, no, I will transport with my guy. He is somebody who's... So we first had a feet on street who went and explained the product. And then we had a bunch of very cool people called prosumers. Prosumers are like Ravi. They will try everything new once. Okay, so you get these people who try everything once. There are a select set of people, they are mavericks in this. And then the word of mouth spreads. So 90% of orders coming in today are word of mouth. We don't have money, we don't have big budgets, we can't afford to spend a lot of money, so we do word of mouth. We use our service network to convince our demand network. We use referral campaigns very interestingly. Lot of our innovation happened at marketing level. We said that we every chai ka cup that goes to the tapri, from the tapri it comes to these SMEs. You know what a tapri is? Tapri is that small little shed in which they make tea, and then in South India they make idli also, which is very 1 rupee idli you get, very nice, tasty. That tapri, every cup is branded with SmartShift. Why? Because I'm a product that needs familiarity. Because till today, Ranjit and I had a relationship. Ranjit would take my load, good guy. Once in a while, okay, not good, but otherwise largely good. He'd bring cash also for me. He will handle invoices for me. Now there's no Ranjit. There's a brand. SmartShift. Someday Ranjit will come, someday Aniket will come, Prasad, who has disappeared, will come. So I don't know. I don't have trust. So brands need to build trust. Trust comes from familiarity. So for familiarity, we did a lot of things. Every Naka and Adda, you have a water cooler with a SmartShift. Okay. We put a little bit of uh, organic twist to it. So we got like Kulhards. Kulhard is the earthen branded SmartShift. So you serve chai once a day on it. We do little road shows, fun road shows. We tell stories about Shripad, whose business became 10x better because he used SmartShift. That he was cleared of all his woes of logistics. So you use very innovative BTL to get to your customer.
Do you at any point find the reverse happen? That is, they get to meet the truckers through your platform, and because they are SMEs, they go back to the
हाँ थोड़ी no, so he's saying, I'll repeat the question. He said basically, supposing I have introduced Srinath to Kausalya, then Srinath and Kausalya will say, अरे सर ये स्मार्ट शिफ्ट को क्यों पैसे देने ना, हम साइड में बिजनेस कर लेते हैं, ये इंडिया में बहुत होता है by the way. The problem for Srinath is if he leaves the platform, then he doesn't get load wherever he wants. So he'll go from Banashankari to Hosur, and then in Hosur what will he do? So Srinath has a great reason to stay on the platform because if I give him load wherever he needs it. And what about Kausalya? Supposing Srinath says, Srinath is a typical transporter. Tomorrow I call him, he said, "No, I'm not coming." Or, gaadi breakdown ho gaya. Then what does Kausalya do? So the trick in all of these companies is mobility. Because we're a mobile moving force, relationships are slightly tougher to form. But they do form. Defensibility of a strategy is always critical. So you have to build. So for example, just to give you what we did, every transporter who joins SmartShift becomes a part of our parivar. The parivar, the woman of the house and the children of the house, by virtue of Arun being a part of our life, gets a lot of benefits. So we don't give anything to the transporter. Every year, 3 times in a year, we call the transporter's family to a location and we felicitate their wives and children. And we felicitate our transporter in front of their wives and children. This sector has notoriously no aspiration value. Nobody wants to go to school and say, my dad is a transporter. Okay? They actually used to feel shy. Today, we have 16 women fleet owners who have bought vehicles and attached to SmartShift because there's a dignity. And we have more than 5,000 transporter families that we are working with. There are good days and bad days. Sometimes Joes might think there's no value and move out. Yes, we have not owned the whole market, it takes time. But largely that affinity is starting to build. Because everyone looks for respect, right? Respect is a very fundamental human need. And the fact that you're catering to that, in fact, we're also catering to respect need of SMEs. Huh? SMEs don't like going and bargaining daily, standing at the stand, kitna lega. Aapne to ek time kiya na. SMEs do it daily, 4 to 5 times a day. They crave that respect. They actually are grateful that someone's thought of them. So it's one of those right brain, left brain combinations that work well. Yes, we do. We got beaten up, slapped around, happens. Um, what do you do when one section of society is resisting? So the first reaction is remove them. Akash is the intermediary, he's making unnecessary money, take him out of the equation. The second is, what do they represent to the ecosystem? Embrace them. So we have a lot of SMEs, a lot of intermediaries who have now become franchisees for us. They onboard because we have very strict rules of onboarding. We say कि पैन कार्ड लाओ, आधार तो चाहिए भाई, तो आधार लाओ, नहीं है तो बनवाओ, ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस वैलिड होनी चाहिए. बाय द वे इंडिया में ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस वैलिडिटी इज अ स्टेट ऑफ बीइंग. मतलब आई नो नवीन में हैव अ वैलिड लाइसेंस, एवरीबडी एल्स आई डोंट नो व्हाट वी हैव. सो वी डू ऑल ऑफ दैट. सो द इंटरमीडियरीज हैव बिकम पार्टनर्स and we actually have a parivar sammelan for them as well.
How do you initiate? Like you said that they were the funders.
This very enterprising man Prasanna went and got a mic.
So you said at the beginning that these middlemen are the ones who provide funds for the initial fuel and stuff, right?
And
So-
daughter's wedding.
Right. So how does that get scattered in your model?
So we've tied up with banks. The banks use our credentials and our onboarding methodology. Banks have two types of risk. I'm oversimplifying banking. Those from banking, just sorry. Banking to me is very simple. If Akash can prove he doesn't need a loan, give him a loan. Okay. So banking to me is just two axes. And by the way, in my life, everything is two axes and four quadrants. Okay. Risk of the person or the individual and risk of the product or service he's trying to take a loan for. If Aniket lives in a society which is known, notorious, red area in a financier's life, saying that these people don't repay loans, okay, and he's trying to buy a product also which has high risk, he's considered high, they'll never loan him. With SmartShift coming in, I have mitigated the personality risk. So he may still, because the worry for them as a financier is, will you pay me back my money? See, no financier wants an NPA. What will they do with so many trucks in their backyard? What will they do? They want the money. They want the working capital to flow. So we mitigate Akash's personality risk or person risk by giving him complete document verification. And we mitigate the business risk of what he's entering into by saying, if he's with me, he will earn money. On an average, a transporter on my platform earns 1.5 times what he would have earned had he been standing in an adda. Can I put a gun to his head and make him sign in every day? No. But I'm mitigating risk because banks want to lend, but they want you to mitigate. So we enable these conversations to happen, right? Yes. Good. Oh, we've tapped nothing. We are like really cootie. The size of this market, as we estimate. So let me give you it's not very easy to size market. Huh? It's like asking Yash how many people will buy clothes. Everybody needs clothes, but then we don't. In Mumbai, there are 76,000 trucks plying on a daily basis, small trucks. 76,000 trucks, we estimate, from RTO data, plying on a daily basis. Each truck does an average of 2 trips a day. So that's 1.6 lakh trips a day. That is how you size the market. So, in a very convoluted way, this is one way of doing it. So we actually size the market from the supply side because it's very difficult to estimate how much Sarita as a manufacturer of garments would actually be using. So we use a derivative approach. We derive the demand from the supply. The second is top down. The Indian logistics market is worth $130 billion. And it is estimated that about 35% of that is spent on intra-city logistics. So that's the market size. And we are very cootie.
Yeah, because the other day I was reading an article because government is investing heavily in the infrastructure, and what is happening is the trucks actually shifting from smaller truck to higher truck. So
Yes.
actually, Ace and all that market was good, but actually the higher truck is getting more traction now. And why I know that, because Cummins is now promoting those heavier engines for the Tata. So that is basically the
I
background.
think higher torque has come from two things. One is, if you look at the Indian urbanization phenomena, if for at least Bangalore no doesn't have this. How many of you are from Bangalore? How many from Mumbai? In Mumbai's one tower, no, 75 of your homes will fit. So we are vertical like this. So what has happened is consumption has got terribly concentrated. So if I come to Vimal's, if you come to Mumbai, I'm sure all of you have come to Mumbai. You've seen our high rises. In my complex where I live, there are 600 flats. It's 6 buildings with 600 flats. One big basket vehicle caters to one building in one day. That's how much consumption is happening in a concentrated area. So what has happened is the need for smaller trucks, so maneuverability is better, with high torque loading capacity is like kind of increasing. So we also see that shift, but you'll also see that there is some distribution that's happening because two-wheelers have also become very not productive, prolifically spread. So you'll see a lot of companies now using two-wheelers for distribution. So it's also the evolution of hub and spoke. India has traditionally not been a very good hub and spoke model. We've been a fishbone. You guys know what a fishbone diagram is? Lamba aisa, and then lots and lots and lots and lots of streams coming out. We've traditionally been ineffective because of that. India, by the way, spends 14.5% of its GDP on transport. US spends 7%. Long way to go. Yes, Atul.
Restricted to SMEs only and why not open it up for the retail consumers and like for example, Agrawal,
He's also SME, huh?
intra-city, a lot of opportunities and all that. And second, an incident I was told during the floods in Chennai, I was looking for a small heater which can carry a two-wheeler because there were issues and all that, and I was not able to easily find it. I'm sure
Please book on SmartShift. We are now in Chennai. I hope you don't have floods again, but you can just normally book. Actually, he was speaking and they actually thought you came all the way from there to pick up the mic and give it to Atul. See, now this is the problem, right? We are assuming something. He was not in that perspective. Okay, so let me answer your first question. Why not a retail customer? See, you can do everything. Okay. I want to do this also, this also, this also, this. I'll make gear also, I'll make engine also, I'll make everything. It's about choices. Strategy is as much about choosing what not to do as it is about choosing what to do. Very cliche, but very true. Second thing for what happened with us is we looked at Avinash and said, okay, income tax department, okay, I will move back here, but sir, I pay all my taxes. I think I pay more than I should be. Uh, no, I don't get only. I don't that gross CTC what they show and what the government actually lets me take home में बहुत फर्क है सर. कुछ करो सर आप. अगर आप corporate tax को 25% पे ला सके तो हमारा भी ला दो. I swear your Lafleur's curve will work and more people will pay tax. All the good gentlemen here who use their CAs to not pay tax. Okay, so why did we not focus on Yash? Yash will book once from us. Actually, Anand did book once from us. And then Anand disappeared because in his lifetime, how many times will Anand shift a house? How many times will Prasanna get an Almara to move from point A to point B? Lifetime value of a retail customer was very low. Cost of acquiring a Sham Prasad on my platform, very high. I have to market, no, I have to be like him. I have to be there on every billboard, every IPL t-shirt. Paisa nahi hai. Okay, very clear. I don't get ROI from targeting Naveen. I get ROI from a customer like an SME, Cummins distributors, who will use me every day. Once I hook Shiva Prasad, he will not leave me. Lifetime value. Somewhere I have to break even, no? After his fourth order, I start making money. Till then, it's an investment. Hopefully, he will come and stay with me. That was one choice. Agarwal Packers and Movers, interestingly, when they started, it was a virgin space. Okay, they offered. Their actual revenue or profit comes from packing and not moving. Majority of Agarwal's trips are moved on SmartShift and like platforms. They actually use Rivigo, Blackbuck, and other companies also to supplement their fleet. Their expertise is that amazing guy who will come and he'll look at your house and he'll say, "Sab tempo mein aa jayega." And you'll be like, "No, no, Ray, I have so many big beds." And he will pack everything into a Tata 407. For the life of you, you wouldn't have imagined how it would fit it, but it's fit. Okay, that's their expertise. Their core competence is packing, and they come with that. We, by the way, have tie-ups with almost 36 movers and packers. They pack, we move, because I can't pack. So I tie up. That's how it is. So you have to decide your market. Oh, the man with the mic. Oh, that's. And why have you blanked out your name? You don't want me to know who you are.
I was sitting there, so the
Please
same
come
problem.
now. Oh, you're sitting far away from him, is it?
No, actually,
Oh, I'm not looking at
always
you.
face that side, so
Oh, I'm so sorry. I should face this side. Okay.
this
Yes.
itself is
Yes,
becoming
Bharat.
difficult. I've been lifting my hand and no one was looking.
Yeah.
No, yeah, on a serious note, so what is the kind of threat that we would face in this model against, Ola and Uber guys? Because they've cracked auto rickshaws already, right? So, I mean, eventually they may enter this space also and they have the penetration.
They have what penetration?
So then they've reached the customers, right?
Which
So like
customer?
the way we were discussing, right? Anand would probably gonna shift his house. He definitely would have Uber or Ola. I mean, that's more convenient for him to probably book an Ola small truck to shift his house over a new app.
Anand is not my TG, no?
No,
The
also, I mean,
fundamental thing about the business model is we understand SMEs very intimately. By the way, not to belittle Ola or Uber, okay? Look at the level of standardization they have done. One app, whether Naveen opens it or Martin opens it in China, right? Martin, I believe you're from China. You've been here for 1 year now. I hope I have not been speaking too fast, and I use a lot of colloquialism, so do pardon me. And Mahindra, when they book an Ola, they see the same thing. Same set of variables. Where do you want to go? Where are you going from? How many seats you want? Average Indian is 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighs between 68 to 75 kgs. We are exceptions to the rule, but that's okay. Highly standardized product. Aniket, Anil, Arun are all standardized products, so I can do a lot of matching here. In load movement, at a minimum, there are 16 variables to be considered. And that 16 variables required in-depth understanding of this market. So it's called, have you heard this concept called N is equal to 1? Uh, Jeff Bezos, by the way, nobody named Jeff Bezos, one of the world's greatest entrepreneurs. Okay, he invented this concept, innovated this concept called N equal to 1. He said that we all sample people together, no? This is the advanced management program people. They all come from Mumbai or cities. They all have more than 16 years of experience, and therefore they're one category, and this is how I will cater to this sampling, this group. Bezos has created a concept called N equal to 1, right? Oh, you're Flipkart, you would know this in and out, no? You all like all of this. By the way, we should talk. Are you in love with Walmart, or I really want to know?
answered this for like at least 15 guys in this group.
Or yeah, and I'm sure you have that comment that people used to ask me. No comment. Please ask the Bansals. Their tweet handle is s_Bansal. Yeah. So the number of variables that work in logistics are different from the number of variables. So it's not cut, copy, paste. By the way, when people they make the model very simple. We are like the Uber of trucks. I only said that so that I don't lose you by explaining the twin-sided network. They have traditionally had a captive supply in India, correct? Most of the vehicles today only drive Ola or Uber. They don't have alternative sources model. India has more than 5.5 lakh live trucks. We've just aggregated them. So when Ola and Uber came into the market, there's an existential gap between demand and supply. Demand was here and supply was here, and they bridged this gap, right? That's the huge market potential there. We are creating efficiency elements. So we're not saying there's a mismatch between demand and supply. from the existed demand is here and supply hai hi nahi, because goods have moved in this country for a very long time. We are bridging the efficiency gap. So it's in-depth understanding, it's your passion, it's your focus. Every organization has a focus. Their focus is B2C. They believe in the consumer internet economy. So if they come in, they'll compete with Agarwal at max. But where will they take trucks from? So I'm very clear. The second element is, why only Ola and Uber? Why not Reliance? Why not Google? Everybody can come. Then all companies have to close, no? Because then everybody will be so worried that Google is going to come and make the next OnMobile or Cummins. It's intent, it's focus, it's first mover advantage, it's your willingness to adapt and create a relevant product for that market. So some of the strategic choices that they have made focuses them on a much, and Ola and Uber have also just, tip of the iceberg. India has a huge people movement issue that they have to solve. So can they come? Yes. Can we collaborate? Yes. We already collaborate with many giants in this space. And I think it will be good for the economy overall if people come into logistics. So it's one of those large unsolved puzzles. So the more the merrier. Yes, Swayambhu has been raising his hand. Do you want the mic? Bharat is very possessive of that mic. Huh?
So, in this space, as I know, there are a lot of legal issues like accidents and on toll booths, unnecessary harassment, and so on and so forth.
I'm so glad you said unnecessary. Feeling.
So, how does your platform handle all that? Are you held accountable for that, or that is also mitigated?
Konja technical, I'll explain. There are two concepts which already existed by the way. When Ola and Uber came in, you remember regulation changed for them. By the way, do you guys know Ola and Uber used to aggregate taxis, right? They never charge tax. Bill always comes on behalf of the driver, right? Government had to change regulation for them. In goods transport, regulation already existed. So there is a concept called GTA, Goods Transport Agency. As a goods transport agency, when I'm registered, I can transport goods from point A to point B. I will raise a receipt, a lorry receipt it's called in our parlance, and I will transport. When I'm a GTA, I take liability of the registered value of the goods for the period of movement. And that's where the e-way bill and all of that is happening. I am also an aggregator, there's another definition, where I don't actually book the complete trip as my trip. I say, Shiva Prasad met Srinath. I am like Bharat matrimony. There is boy, there is girl, I am getting them to meet. I got Shiva Prasad to meet Srinath. They bid and decided on a mutual value for transport, and I will earn a percentage commission which I book as revenue. So the subtle difference between a GTA, which is what Agarwal packers and movers are, or any of the big transporters are, and an aggregator is how we book our revenue. So therefore, there is a mitigation of the risk. In my platform, I say Shiva Prasad, with full consent, mutually, with full transparency, agreed to send his good with Srinath. I have made sure Srinath is a verified driver with all his details available to Shiva Prasad. I have made the two of them meet. So I have both models running. When I take full liability of the goods, that's also an option. Then I book the whole goods, book the whole trip as a value. Or I say, I got them to meet, they mutually agreed on the platform, I am only earning a meeting fee. That's also an aggregator. It's a bidding, it's like eBay. Just to make our life more complex, no? Otherwise we'll just say, what you decided the rate also. And so we are very entrepreneurial. We believe that Yash wants to decide his own rate. So we said, chalo, you can play with it also a little bit. Yes, Sham. Oh, thank you so much. See, all of you mean people, not one said anything nice about the press. Sham, I like you. We shall have coffee together.
Thank you, ma'am. So, two questions. How long it took you from the idea to the operational stage? In
Brilliant
the
question.
The second question is your break-even.
दिल पे बात लग गई यार. इनसे पूछो ना इनका ब्रेक इवन कब होगा, फिर हम करेंगे यार. बड़े बड़े लोग ब्रेक इवन नहीं कर रहे, आप हम छोटे छोटे लोगों के पीछे पड़े. हाँ, we took too long, to be very honest. There is something called idea paralysis. You have a great idea, okay, and then somebody says do it, And Aniket's first reaction is, oh shit, I didn't think you'll say yes so fast. I don't even know where to start. So we had that moment, okay, which is called idea paralysis in my parlance, where we built the idea, and then they said, okay, go ahead and do it. What do you want from us? Okay. And the first reaction was, oh, okay. So we went back to the drawing board, we came back. So June 2014 was the first time I met Anand with the project. He gave me an approval, principal. December 2014, I became the CEO of the company, full-time. I was not designated CEO. By the way, CEO just happened. Now, I have to tell you the most peculiar story of how I became CEO. June 2015, we created the first team to make the app. And November 2015, we launched our pilot. 6 months to 8 months. I think too much time. I think Aniket and Anil and Yash and all those guys will like crunch it, and you also, Shyam Prasad. So sometimes idea paralysis happens. It's not easy. Okay, suppose somebody says, here, take 10 crores and do something. Your first reaction is fear also. Why you're giving me? I also don't know. But you know, sometimes that also happens. So it happened with us. But I think that fearlessness came in at some point. कि करके देखते हैं फिर क्या होता है, and it became big. Break even. Us? Yes, Aniket. Related question.
Related. So before within your company, did you also have the thought, why don't I start my own? Something which I can.
That's the third question. Nothing to do with his question. Second question was break even. Startups do. Everybody does. Finance guys, any finance guys, CFOs, finance managers. Oh, Manish, Maheshwari. You and I, we will meet. So break even happens on 3 levels for a startup. Okay, and not only a startup. First is gross margin level. Okay, so we say what's the revenue you book, what's the cost for that revenue. In our case, we're a service, right? So at gross level, then you book at variable level, and then you book at EBITDA level. Right? It's actually over a period of time as you stop. See, what is the biggest cost for a startup is acquisition. Because it's a new product, it's a new service, people don't know. Like, Fani doesn't know about us. So I have to reach out to Fani, I have to tell him, boss, look at this really cool product. Did you ever think you could transport? I don't know, what is verse innovation do? Something you're transporting? No, you're only making verse. Okay, then. Something Bindu is transporting, now she is transporting with J&J. It's a very interesting thing we must talk about. I saw Merck and I was just thinking of this conversation I was having with Johnson & Johnson, Chief Digital Officer yesterday. So Merck is transporting something. So at that level of that first gross margin level, I'm actually breaking even because my biggest cost was to get Bindu on board. So over 2 years now in most of our cities, we have organic growth. So I'm not investing a great amount in new acquisition. The second was incentives. One of the best ways for startups to kind of start is, you know, whether it's a PayPal or us, we kind of used to give incentives for people to try us. Because startups don't believe in awareness, by the way. Startups believe in acquisition. The difference between awareness and acquisition is, if Martin knows about me, if somebody asks him, that's awareness. So today all of you are aware of SmartShift. But when Anand uses me for the first time, then he is acquired. I spend more money on acquisition than awareness. So at a level of all the costs that go into completing a trip, if I break even, I call that variable break even. And last is EBITDA. So we first want to break even at gross level, then at variable, and then lastly at fixed level. Largely our fixed costs have remained constant when we were doing 10 transactions a day to now we are doing 2,000 transactions a day. So the fixed cost hasn't gone up, it's got amortized over a larger base. So the business plan should actually take into account all of that. And luckily for startups like me, I can break even in clusters, I can break even in segments. So I think even with companies like Flipkart, smartphones is a very profitable segment. So for me, for example, LCVs as a segment is very profitable, but three-wheelers is not. So I also manage my portfolio to kind of make sure I break even at a city level over a period of a contribution of multiple product lines that go into it.
Was that in line with your plan?
No. It takes a lot of effort because, like I told you, what did I say? One of my cool mantra I have, right? Revenue is a hope, cost is a given. So cost and all we figured, okay, revenue was a hope. So now we are changing cost structures, right? And it's a learning curve. No one gets it right. There is no template. I can't just take Myntra's template and slap it on. Myntra now, of course, is breaking even. And that combination of Jabong and Myntra got a huge amount of synergy as per at least Anand. You have to keep playing with your variables. Remember I showed you one slide, business assumptions? Remember I showed you? So my first principal assumption was one transaction will cost 600 rupees. If that comes down, everything comes with it. So if that has come down, then what do? You have to recalibrate. No, you can't just wait there and say, I'll wait now till it becomes 600. Or so we've changed our business case to, so a lot of things we initially outsourced, we have now in-housed. Lot of things we initially in-housed, we have outsourced. So you play is a wrong word for a CEO to use, but I use it. You have to keep trying. Okay, what is my largest cost? For example, call center is a big cost for me, right? So we constantly work on productivity because we always want to have the call center, we want the customer guide. So we work with Mahindra on productivity, right? If one caller in 2 years back did 25 calls a day, today that same caller is doing 150 calls a day, right? That is one way of working. Or you start make versus buy decisions. That combination of factor, you need great CFOs in your team. A startup is made by 3 people: CEO for the vision and all of that, and to give gyan like this, a good CFO who can see beyond the numbers and pay tax on time, and we pay all our tax on time, sir. But we are loss making, so we are not paying income tax. And the third is, if you're a tech company, a great CTO, right? If you're an ops company, a great CEO. This combination is important. Startups don't happen. Very few single founder startups are successful. Yeah, Martin. Usha, வீட்ல போய் சொல்லாத. I spend, I live, eat, breathe SmartShift. The other day we were watching a film called Intern. Have you watched this film? My kid said, like you only this auntie is. I spend 7 days a week, 18 waking hours thinking about SmartShift, and then the balance 6 hours I dream about SmartShift. It's all consuming. It's your child. Somebody said give birth. It's like that. When I first started, I have something called OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. By the way, most CEO founders will be like this, okay? They want to ask Anil, what are you doing today? When are you doing it? How are you doing it? Everything I would ask. Today, I go to office as an orchestrator. I wave my baton and the music plays. The most fundamental lesson I learned in SmartShift is I cannot do it alone. Women specifically, and I'm saying this because I've come through a big journey, you need a village. You need a village to bring up a child, and you need a village to bring up a startup. A startup is like a baby. It needs attention constantly. It needs you to think about it, dream about it, worry about it all the time, and you cannot do it alone. So I said about that trio: CFO, CTO, CEO, build a team. Most of the time, after a period of time, right, your team will surprise you because they will see things you cannot see. So the one leadership lesson of today, which was not possibly true some time back, is it's not just about platforms collaborating with various companies to bring value to Anand as a consumer. It is about Sarita collaborating with stakeholders across the world to make a great company. I have a young team of about 15 to 20 people who run the company. I have, they fight constantly. By the way, my entire company runs on WhatsApp. The day they decide to monetize WhatsApp, it's a problem. We ideate constantly. We try every morning, Monday morning, we have this meeting where we say, what are the next 50 things you want to do? Okay. And over a period of time, I believe very strongly that I had to build a team that could do 10 times what I could do. And my role was to allow them to do it, to facilitate them to do it. So you kind of decide these roles and you do it. And like you, yeah, please. Definitely. I'm on LinkedIn. Very nice to meet you, and we'll connect on JNJ and what fun you guys are up to. So you have to distribute. I know people think it's very passe to say this, but a lot of people I know don't believe that work and life are two compartments, and you're trying to flit from one to another. There's a lot of psychological theories on this. For me, it's one. uh, SmartShift and my family are all one. We integrate. It's a little stressful initially, but you learn from your village. So I have a wonderful, supportive family. Usha will be testimony to this. I have a great mother-in-law. Now, a lot of people will not say this. The reason I'm standing in front of you today is my mother-in-law. The day I got married, she and I enrolled each other into our lives. And I say enrollment. We treat all of these relationships as one of those sacred cows to be kept far away. You need friends, you need family to run a company. You can't do it alone. So, my mother in law, my husband, my friends circle. So, when my kids need to be picked up from school, I have a call away. When I have a board meeting, somebody at home is taking my kids to classes, right? And pay for help. In India, it's cheap. It's not so cheap globally. So pay for help. Get help wherever you need it, right? And goes true for, I think, fatherhood has also changed a lot. Fathers are very involved parents. So you need to make sure of that. And there are a lot of cliches on this. Spend quality time, etc., etc. But one thing I've realized is 6 months ke baad, every 6 months, my family and I travel. And that's a great bonding for us because we travel exclusively and I travel high seas, try to take cruises so that the phone doesn't come, and we bond. So you figure out these little mantras and you're very grateful for the help you get. If you believe you can get there by yourself, okay. But if you believe that you can get there together, then you'll get there faster. I'm so sorry. Vidyadhar, did I say your name wrong? Vidyadhar, right? Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Uh, just curious to know, like, what Anand Mahindra asked, any questions, any specific things, or what?
Yes, he did. Experience is about perspective. So he asked me questions to which I had not prepared a hard answer, where I said the heart matters, right? So the first thing he said is, the first question he asked me is, why should we do it? Okay. And there are a lot of logical reasons to do it, huh? But like he said, no, why Uber comes and does something and they disrupt you, Ola comes and they disrupt you, and all of that. But we really, really wanted to give back to a community of people who have invested in Mahindra for a very long time. So there was the heart and then there was the brain. The second question he asked me is, should we do it with a Mahindra brand behind it or not? And there are pros and cons, right? Like, it would be very difficult for him to decide to do a company without the Cummins brand. Cummins is a brand. Any highway you go, people know Cummins, right? Huge heritage, 65, 75 years of heritage this brand has. And Mahindra means many things to many people. For some of you, it may mean meaning logistics. For some of you, it will mean Mahindra Finance. For some of you, it means Tech Mahindra, right? So this is huge mother brand, okay? And he said, what are the pros and cons? So we actually debated brand for a very long time. And of course, he's a great advocate of empowerment. So finally, the decision we took was not exactly possibly what he was heading towards, but he accepted. And the third question he asked me is, how soon can you get this on the road? So, yeah, he's a very perceptive being. It's a joy and an honor to be a part of the group that he leads. So, and him and Dr. Goenka are great leaders for us. So, Mahindra, I know, is one of the few groups which has really invested behind startups. By the way, I'm just one. After SmartShift came a startup called Tringo. For those of you who don't know Tringo, if you're a farmer, and you need a tractor or you need an implement, Jasprit Bindra, he's moved on from the group, but he's still an advisor to us. You call and you'll get a tractor. So, you know, farmers had to wait hours before Seema, the big farmer in that village, would say, "हाँ ठीक है, 2 घंटे के लिए मेरा tractor ले ले." You can call and get a tractor with an implement on hire, on demand in 6 states in India through the Mahindra app. You know what? I'm sorry to be biased here, but I think Sarita has a question, and I'm really hoping the women would ask me some questions. So, all very perceptive questions Martin asked me. Usually, women ask me these questions: how do you balance? And wow, this is like real relay race. Huh? And Srinath's like, dude, I'm not going to taking part in the relay race. Just like,
Yeah,
no, I'm
thanks
good. I'm good.
Thanks a lot, and
I don't sit much.
It's great to see women leaders now coming up to this level, and it's really inspirational.
Genuinely, Ashirvadam of people like Isha. I could not have been here without my family. No, I'm not joking. I know a lot of. She knows my mother-in-law. Without Amma, lot of blessings. The village.
A few questions. Just my husband runs a logistics company along with shipping. So some of the issues which we had seen, I just wanted to know. So Link is some logistic.
Yes, founded by the Ramco group.
Yeah, and Link was coming up very nicely initially, and we didn't see that much of market share growing with Link.
Which city are you from?
Chennai.
Chennai. They're doing very well in Chennai.
So, and people when come up with platforms like this, multiple platforms, and they can increase the share of revenue from 10% to 8%, how will you avoid competition going from one party to the other?
See, when the market is attractive, people will come, right? So, two things. You need to have staying power. That requires some money and some guts. So, consolidation is already happening in the industry. So, you will see increasingly more companies coming together, consolidating, because the value on the table is less. There's not much in this transaction. How much can the transporter pay you? 2%, 5%, 10%? So, you have to make sure that that value on the table is limited, so consolidation will happen. And the second is space. See, it's a very big country with very big problems. So, many companies have started carving out niches for themselves. So, there's a company which only handles complicated roads. So, the minute Naveen says, I have a complex load, na, they will handle that. So, people are carving niches which are profitable for themselves. So, over a period of time, you will see this. You will see consolidation. So, by the way, we have merged with our competition. It's called Porter. We are in the middle of a merger right now. So, consolidation, we become bigger, more synergy, and people will become specifically competent in verticals. So Agarwal Packers and Movers, like Atul talked about, core competence in people movement, house shifting. So you will start creating verticals. There are many companies, Flipkart, oh he left, Bharat left for the day. Okay. Flipkart, by the way, has a set of companies which only started because Flipkart and Myntra and Amazon are there. They're called e-commerce specialists. So over a period of time, we are seeing that as well.
Second thing is this sector, especially the drivers, they expect cash. So how you make your payments here?
We have cash. We have tie-up with Vijay Shekhar Sharma's Paytm. You mitigate all of this. It's still a largely cash economy that we work in. So cash, a lot of cash transactions happen. But sir, we pay tax. Before he comes and says, what is this? Why are you not in a part of the digital economy? Yeah, because I think it's 7 and a lot of people are unfortunately very, very delayed because of me. I can go on about SmartShift for days. So what I would suggest is I'll be available for those of you who want to reach out to me. Mahindra has my coordinates. I'm available on LinkedIn. You can connect with me. We can chat further. Also available on Facebook, but now I don't really use it too much. So please feel free to reach out to me. My email, in case anyone of you wants to reach out to me, is Kausalya, my first name, @smartshift.in. That's one word, smartshift.in. So please feel free to write in. I'd be honored and very touched if you all kept in touch and you have any queries or we can chat.